In our previous video, we took a look at the project summary screen, as you can see right here. Now, one thing that we did was we actually clicked on one of these issues in order to show what that key looked like. And I really want to point out that you can access the issue details screen by clicking on the title of the issue pretty much from anywhere. So you can see it here in this activity on the summary. If I go to the list of issues, you can see it here, and you can see this link once again will take us to that issue details screen. In this case, it shows it over here. If we go back to our dashboard and we're looking at the activities stream, you can see that title here. So that's kind of a common theme that you'll find in Jira is a lot of times you'll see the issue and it will be the issue or the project key rather, followed by the number and then whatever the title of the issue is. And that's basically what this is. So let's click on this to go to the issue detail screen, and then we'll be able to see what this looks like. So let's get familiar with this screen. So up here on the top, we have the project itself. So this is the project that this particular issue is in. And then we have the issue key, or the key for this particular issue. So the project key and then the number. So this is the project key is demo, and then the number is 6. So demo 6. This is the 6th issue inside of the demo project. And then we have the title of the issue. So we can click on this in order to change this. Can call this whatever we want. This is essentially the issue title. So you can see that. You can see that updates it up here in the title of on the tab here as well. This is the picture for the project. So if you remember from a previous video when we looked at the summary, the project summary, it had this particular picture that just kind of shows us that this issue is inside of that project. And then down here, let's skip over these buttons real quick and talk about this, the details down here. So we have a lot of these different fields here. And all of these fields, the Jira administrator has the ability to customize what fields are shown on any particular issue. So you can see this is a task. That's the type of issue that this is. It's medium priority. We can change this if we wanted to, maybe make it a low priority. We can add labels. So labels are things like tags if we wanted to. So this is a demo. Maybe that's going to be a new one. Let's do test. So you can see we added a couple labels to this. This current status of this. And then the resolution. Now, these things, we'll talk about statuses and resolutions later on, so don't worry too much about that. Once again, these are completely customizable. Essentially, this is just the workflow that your team has set up, and then this is what the resolution is if once that workflow has been completed. So if you, say, complete the task, but maybe it's something that it's a bug that you're not going to fix. You could have the resolution might be complete, but the status might be complete, but the resolution would be we're not going to fix this, as opposed to the status being complete, but the resolution being we fix this. So that's kind of how that works with the statuses and resolution. And then you have your issue description. So this is pretty straightforward. This is all stuff that you can customize. You can see that there's some customization in there as far as the headers, the styling, the color, a lot of this stuff you can customize. If you're not sure how to stylize things, you can use the kitchen sink here, or you can come over here and actually click on this little help here, and that will show you help about the wiki markup. So all of these different things for how to actually create different looks. So here's how you can create a quote block. You add this, here's what's quoted, and then this is what it would look like over here. So again, great documentation from Atlassian on how to do things, how to create these different looks. And you can see that you can get some really cool looking customization inside of the descriptions there. Down below, we have attachments, so you can attach any sort of files that you want to an issue. You can just drag and drop to attach, or you can browse your computer to attach a file. And then down below, you have your comments. So comments are as easy as just adding this in. So This is a comment. You could actually tag people in a comment. So if you want to say, hey, administrator, check this out, you could do that. And then when you add that comment, it's actually going to tag that person in the comment, and then they will get a notification. Once again, this is based on whatever your settings are from your Jira administrator, but by default, they'll get an email notification that they've been tagged in this comment, and it will link directly to this particular issue. You also have your work log. So no work currently has been logged to this, but if you wanted to track how much work has been done on an issue, say if it's a bug and you want to track how long people are working on it to actually fix that bug, you can do that, and you can see that log here. You can see the overall history, so you can see this issue was created by this user. I actually changed the title from what's next to, we can call this whatever we want. You remember we did this earlier in the video, and then made these changes. So you can really see the history. You can see Jira's keeping track of everything that's going on with this issue. And then lastly, we have the overall activity. So very similar to the history, except this is kind of like the activity stream. So you can actually subscribe to an RSS feed. So this is really great. Once again, if this is an issue that's a really high priority issue and you want to make sure that you can track it, you can subscribe to this feed and you can see everything that's going on for this particular issue. All right, so let's scroll back up here and talk about the right-hand side. So over here, we have who this is assigned to. So currently, this is assigned to the administrator. We can change this if we wanted to. If we want to take this over, we can just click on Assign to Me, and that will assign to whoever the current user is that's signed in. So I'm going to actually X out of that, hit Assign to Me. You can see this is going to change. There we go. Oh, it's already assigned to me. We can assign it to whoever we want. There we go. Who the reporter is. And you can adjust this field as the administrator. You have the ability to either adjust it or allow your other people to adjust it if you want to. We'll look at that later on. We have the ability to vote for an issue. So if this is something, say it's a feature request, you could turn on the ability to vote, and then people can vote, and the features that have the highest requests can, will rise to the top, that sort of thing. You also have the ability to watch, so you can see there's one person watching this, which essentially means if there's a change made, if this is maybe resolved or completed or whatever that change is, anybody who's watching that issue will get a notification. So that will be an email notification if that's set up that way. Once again, completely customizable by the Jira administrator. But that's essentially what watchers are, is you're watching any changes happening to this particular issue. And then the dates. So this particular issue doesn't have any due dates, but you can see it was created a couple days ago, updated just now when we actually updated the title and we updated the labels and the priority. So it was updated there. We have the ability to share this. So we could share this with somebody. If we wanted to share this with another user, we could type in their name, share this with them, add whatever note that will send it to them as an email. Or you can actually email this to somebody outside of your organization. However, they won't be able to actually access it if they don't have permissions to do that. So if you do send this to somebody outside your organization, they don't have permissions, reach out to your Jira administrator, and they can either hook them up or figure out how to get them the information that they need from this issue. Or, of course, you can export this issue to Word. You can print this out. You can export all of the fields into code if you needed to do that. All right, so that's pretty much this view here. The only thing we haven't really talked about are these buttons here. Hopefully these are pretty self-explanatory now that we've kind of talked about the overall interface of this issue detail view. We have the ability to edit this. So if you wanted to edit in this screen here. This screen, once again, is completely customizable by the Jira administrator. Things like what the summary is. A lot of this stuff we can actually edit on the page itself as well. We can add attachments. We could add a due date if we wanted to. So if we wanted to maybe add a due date of a few days away, we could do that. Description. A lot of these are very, very similar. estimates. So this is, once again, something that's customizable. Some teams prefer to allow estimates to be able to say, well, I think this is going to take, maybe 3 weeks, 4 days, and 12 hours to do. And maybe out of that 3 weeks, maybe there's only 4 days left in the estimate. A lot of times, especially if you're billing work, or if you're using it for Agile to help determine your ticket times more accurately, you can use this estimate system. We won't really cover that in this particular video, but that's where you can change those estimates. If you have questions about estimates, once again, check out the help for time tracking here. Atlassian does a great job of documenting all of that. And then the comments, that's what we saw down below. Exact same thing. You can tag people. You can update that. I did make an update. I changed the due date. So when I update that, you'll see the due date show up over here by the dates. So we can, once that's there, you can see that field's there. We can update this field if we wanted to change the date if we wanted to do that. I really wanted to kind of show that, because that way you can see that if there's something on this issue detail view that you don't see, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not applied to this particular issue. It just means that it hasn't been filled out yet. So because this didn't have a due date yet, it didn't show on this screen, but as soon as we went into edit in order to add this field, it will show up. Now, if we remove that and we update, then it will disappear again from this date. All right, so if you see something on here you want to add, try going into edit and then actually finding that field. And then if in the edit view you don't see the field, that's where you need to reach out to your Jira administrator and say, hey, I don't see this field on here. Can you add this field to this particular issue? And then they can do that for you. So that's edit. Comment is very similar to, it's really the same as adding comments down here. It's just rather than scrolling all the way to the bottom, you can access it really quickly. So it just jumps you down there. Assign, you can assign this. It's the same as this over here. Once again, rather than jumping over here, you can just hit assign it to whoever you want, and then add a comment to it if you want to. Hey, I'm gonna take this over. Something like that, let people know, hey, I'm going to assign this to myself, and I'm going to take care of this ticket, something like that. And then anything else that just doesn't fit over here will be in this more. So things like logging work, that's going back to that time estimate, voting, watching, all of these different things, moving to another project. A lot of this stuff we'll cover throughout this course, but I'm not really going to cover each of these individual things in this particular video. Just want to show that that's where they are. And then finally over here, we're going to have our workflow. So this would be starting, so you can see the status is to do, which means you haven't started work on it yet. So this would be to put it in progress, and then this would be to complete it. Once again, the statuses are completely customizable. So if you're a Jira administrator, you could change this to say, make it in progress, or I'm working on this, or whatever you want to call it. You can call this complete instead of done, or finished instead of done, or whatever you want. All of this is customizable. And then this right here, I use a service called Toggl, and this is actually because of I have the Toggl extension installed. This is not actually part of Jira. However, Toggl does integrate in with Jira to be able to allow you to time. So if I wanted to time how much I was using on this particular issue, how much time I was taking on this particular issue, I find it's really helpful myself to have this timer, start it, and then when I'm done, I can come in and log that work. Now, there are add-ins for Jira to allow you to do that as well. Usually those cost extra money. I personally prefer to use this service called Toggl to time things, and then that way I can log the work afterwards. All right, so that's a look at the issue detail view interface. And I know we covered a lot. Just know that a lot of these things we will be talking about more in depth as we go throughout this entire course. But hopefully you have an idea of how this issue detail interface shows a lot of different things and how these different things kind of play together to give you an idea of what's going on for your particular issues. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next video where we'll learn about creating issues.